Kind of tasted like a roast beef and mashed potatoes. What? Hello? Michelle? Fuck this place. Justice. Crimson. Rob. Hello. Welcome to part 2 of today's community event. We have new rules. Oh, I didn't know I could see who's watching. That's cool. You can't do that on YouTube like that. I was trying to see what time is running. There it is. There it is. The clock. Okay. So, here are the rules, guys. Right now, we're on a timer. When that timer hits 5 minutes, we'll jump into the conversation. I'm about to take a much more rigid approach to this community event stuff than I have the last 4 or 5 weeks. I feel like we've gone on long enough with the old system, witnessed many beauties, and are in need of some fine-tuning. What's up, Johnny? Oh, you sent me that video that you made. I never got to watch it. Damn. Okay, I'm glad I remembered. We'll write it in my little white book. So the first 5 minutes is a free period. We're just going to trickle in. Hey, Sergei. We're going to get ourselves situated. Lisa, I think it was you. I just sent you a link to the SoundCloud. It's going to be under This is the Void, not Jamie Bennington anymore. It's going to be under This is the Void or the Picture Pieces Archive. Wow. You all are showing up. I'm going to start writing down community notes. I owe Sergei a reading, but they showed up too late to the meditation today, so I couldn't do it. But next time, if you show up on, not on time, like there's no on time, but at a reasonable time, I will definitely be able to read for you. I even got my runes together and everything. There. Somewhere in here. I thought they were right there. Okay, today's date is 7/23/24. Today's the 23rd. Remember, 2 and 3 are my numbers, so today is a real good day for me. Today is Tuesday. And I owe Sergei a rune reading. Oh, actually, I can do that for you. That can be one of our events if you want. I know you're here right now. I can read for you right here instead of over there, if that's what you want. If you do, let me know in the chat, okay, Sergei, if that's what you want. I'll read for you right now if that's what you want. Johnny said my dad's posture is what I got. But but also a funny aside real quick, because you brought it up. It triggered me to a memory that I think is really fun. People used to tell me that I had my head down a lot, as a kid. When I met Chester, he told me that there was a thing called the Bennington Slouch, which unfortunately is something that is inherited. He also would say Not only in the song Cross Off, but just in general, that the head is heavy. From the crown or from the anger, who knows, but maybe a little bit of both. Oh, also, there's that song Heavy. Oh, why is everything so heavy? That was a song. Charlie's Colorform City, yeah. Great show, Charlie's Colorform City. Charlie's Colorform City. Okay, let's see here. There was one more. One more. I was writing something else down. Oh, that's right. Justice. Okay. We're past the waiting period. And you got a performance out of me? Are you crazy? You guys must be really working it on that side. Okay. So, we have a new run of show. It mirrors the one that we have on the YouTube side, but it's a little shorter, a little different. I'll bring my handy whiteboard over for reference. I'm not going over the YouTube updates here. So there are things that I have talked about today that I have not talked about here. And if you're curious about those, you're going to have to go find them. Happy hunting. So this is the way this is going to be. Okay? Every time we start, we're going to go through the same order of events or activities. Not in the same order necessarily, but they will be in sequence, and they will be implied. So I said this on the YouTube, I'll say it here. After this, I'm going to try to not tell you what the structure is. I'll save this so that you guys can go back and look at it and learn it if you want to, but come this time next week, I'll be going through the sections of our interaction without telling you what they are specifically, or I guess not telling you what they are all the time. I'm sure I'll say, okay, well, in this part I was thinking about this, whatever, but the free period will be implicit, so we'll be here for 5 minutes before we start talking about anything. That means that if you're doing something, or say you get the notification, you're like, oh, I can't get on right away, but I want to get on, you have 5 minutes until I start talking. Okay. Then we're going to go through the meditation. I've used this for FaceTime more often than I have used it for meditation. So that's something I'm adding to this interaction. We will be doing, continuing the breath work and the mental exercise that we started in the YouTube side of things, because I will always come from YouTube to Instagram. All right. And then after the meditation, or during the meditation, I will take FaceTime from 2 new people. Today it will only be 1, because if Sergei said so, I'll do a reading for Sergei, because I owe him or them a tarot reading from a couple weeks ago, but I haven't had the chance to do that, and I'd rather read runes this time because I didn't really know the tarot that well. I don't know the classes that well. Everything I did was totally intuitive that first time. I have no training in tarot, so I do have training though in Elder Futhark, which I could definitely roll for you. And then that will be the end of the meditation. So let's see, are there any updates that I would like to bring over from YouTube or couldn't bring up because they weren't relevant to YouTube? Let's see. In brief, I guess I could just say that the Picture Pieces Archive now is the name of the platform that I have, of the archive that is the 3-body problem of my social media presence. The SoundCloud and the YouTube are mirrors of each other. One is for the manifestation of sound, and one is for the manifestation of mixed media. And the Instagram version of it, which is implicit, just given the nature of the platform, is its purpose as like a photographic archive. It's a collection of photographs and some videos, but mostly photographs. I've updated banners and content like blurbs or like fields where you can like type in the information that you want people to know about whatever it is they're observing. I've updated those across all 3 platforms. So now I'll be known as @ThisIsTheVoid or the Picture Pieces Archive. Somebody was looking for me on SoundCloud just now, and they couldn't find me because my name's not Jamie anymore. Because I want to, on SoundCloud and YouTube, I have my bio from my Instagram, which is still the bio on my Instagram. But they're hidden below the actual content descriptors. So you can click on them and see them, but they're hidden. You all know who I am, and anybody who's poking around the way they should be on the platform, then if they're, actually looking at stuff, they'll find it at some point. That's the whole fun of it. So I think that's it. I think that's all I wanted to say. Let's see, I'm reading the chat real quick. Oh, I think the very last thing that I wanted to say about this interaction is that the interactions on YouTube will now be 90 minutes, more or less, within 5 minutes of, either side. Try to, at least, be within 5 minutes on either side. Preferably, I'd like to do shorter videos because they're easier to bookmark. They're easier to go back through and add those stops, those bits of contextual nuance that are important to this expression of mine. For those of you who don't know or do know, what's the word? It doesn't matter. This period will be 60 minutes. I can edit the videos at about 2 times speed, which is the maximum fast forward speed you can have on YouTube. And that's totally fine, but basically that means that at a bare minimum, every video that I edit will take at least half of the length of the video to accomplish. So if it's 90 minutes for a video, I have a minimum of 45 minutes of watch time. That does not include the actual editing time. If I do 60 minutes here, which is my goal, then I will have a minimum of 30 minutes of watch time, or I guess like a maximum. But still, what I'm saying is that I want to be more interactive with the way that I annotate my own work, my own conversations and whatnot. So I will be shortening the average duration of every one of these interactions by a significant amount. Hopefully no more 6-hour videos. They were fun, and maybe we'll have a couple hangout sessions that are literally just hangout sessions, but I need a more tightly tuned machine in my life. And so YouTube will be 90-ish, and then here will be 60-ish. During this side of the interaction, I won't be offering updates. I'm kind of just offering them now so that you have a inkling about other things. Like I said, I didn't really share everything with you just now. I kind of just shared the most relevant parts. And that's it. So normally I would not take time like I have just now to give an update. We would go through a free period into a 2-parter meditation, which may or may not include the 2 conversations I'm having with the public that day. Or alternative interactions. Okay. Thank you all for being here. DEJA VU. I know what you're talking about. I actually think it was a 30 Seconds to Mars. That's a band. 30 Seconds to Mars. I think they did a documentary, and Chester was in it. And in that interview, he talked about the perilous nature of written music industry contracts. Hey, Josh is here. No, I don't have kids. I used to want them, and now I think that's not a good idea. There you go. Crimson said something about it. Yes, you can ask certain questions. I've been thinking about doing Patreon and subscription-based things, just because it would be helpful, to have extra support in this. Maybe even give me enough money to hire someone to help me fucking manage this shit. Because I put so much time and effort into this, and it's all my free time. Which is good, that's what I wanted, but... Okay, Sergei, do you want me to read for you? I didn't see your response in the chat, at all. Maybe I'm wrong. But I didn't see your response. Because I'll go get my runes right the fuck now, and I'll read for you. Yeah, I kind of do that now, Lisa. I'll randomly share memories and stuff when they come up, and if there's real world context that makes it necessary to have, a story time, I'm always up for it, So, today is not one of those days, but yeah, I have plenty of stories, I'm going full autobiographical with all the things that I'm doing, not only are oh, cool. Okay, I'll read for you, Sergei. All of these things that I do, they're amplifications of my process. They're evolutions of tools that I use to help myself become more of myself. And so naturally, you'll get a lot of, Chester stuff in there. But, yeah. I would love to, whenever it's time. And that's it. Deja Vu, you are correct. They were big in Tempe, Arizona. Lincoln Park. Well, I would say not Lincoln Park. I would correct you on that. Lincoln Park might have been big in Tempe, Arizona. But I think what you mean to say is that Gray Days was big in Tempe. Because they were. Gray Days sold out shows at a venue downtown, or near the downtown, what is now the Marketplace area, which is a mall. They sold out shows at a place called the Electric Ballroom, which was shut down for a couple of reasons, some of which were selling to minors and also, I think, SA, awfully enough. But yes. I said yes because I knew I was talking about Gray Days, but you said Lincoln Park, and then I realized, oh yeah, I have to actually acknowledge that. Okay, cool. You want a reading? I'm going to give you a reading, and then I'll take one more person. If you want to request, if you haven't been up here and you want to request that you can be, please send a request, and I will take a look at it. We're coming up on 20 minutes. I'm going to go run and grab the runes. We want to be here for 60 minutes. So after the reading, whatever time I have will be allotted to the person who sends me a request, or, the person I choose. And, yeah, okay, I'll be right back. haven't read like this in a while. This is gonna be fun. Okay, I'm doing it. We're doing it. The set is incomplete. I should just tell you that. Sergei. The set is incomplete because 2 of the runes made themselves transmuted their form quickly. The runes are tricky. They like to change shape and go places you don't expect them to be. Yeah, you should, DEJA VU. Send me some videos, some performances of Chesters that you like. I always like to see them through other people's eyes. So, 2 runes are missing. 1 is Awas, and 2 is Perthro. They just vanished. And they played a game with me. They weren't just gone immediately. You know, like it wasn't just like I grabbed it and then it was gone. It was like I had it and then it would show up somewhere and then I grab it and it would disappear again. All these things. But yeah. So what I'm gonna do is just give them some time to breathe. And that means, by the way, that those 2 runes are present in every reading. They're kind of like, we have this like furry, fuzzy thing that Firefly can play with. She rips it apart. And it's, as I'm scooping these up, it's like covered in little iridescent ribbons. I'm gonna give these guys some air. They've been in a bag for a bit. I think I heard my door slam, but I don't know what that is. Okay. Check my text. I don't have any text or anything. I guess it wasn't my door. Okay. Now, Sergei, I'm going to need a little help on your end. Just type in the chat a list of 4 things relevant to your conscious experience. It could be dreams, it could be thoughts, it could be experiences, it could be a lot of different things. Just give me 3 things. And I will have an easier time connecting to you. I don't know you like that, but I need to read for you. So I'll wait for you. Oh, hey, Kim's here. Hi, Kim. Thanks for being here. Hey, Jolina's here. Let's see, 3 things. They're coming. I see your processing. What I do is I take the braid, pull it back, open the pouch, and then as I blow into it, they'll just start popping out. Some won't want to come out. Let's see. Let's see if they come out when he says what he's going to say. It's okay, Sergei. He said, love, wealth, and happiness. Those are things in your perspective. Okay. Interesting. Here, keep talking to me. Say more. Sure, yeah, go ahead, list a goal. Ooh, one almost came out. What's one of your goals, Sergei? You said you're a social worker too, right? Ooh, that got heavy. You're not being specific enough. You're not focused enough, Sergei. I need you to focus. It'll come out when it's ready. That's insane. Oh, okay. Amazing. Oh, okay. Got 2 rings that popped out. 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, 9. Yo, it's like drawing. They're jumping at me now. DEJA VU, you can ask questions. I'm sure there's some people in the chat who can help you. I have answered quite a few comments on things like that, questions and all that. And so you can definitely ask the people here, or you can go look for the answers. Right now, I definitely can't talk about them because we're talking about Sergei. All right, so when they fall out, or jump out, they go face up or face down. And they get organized that way. So I'm going to take these 3. And we're going to move these around. So you organize them into groups like this. You have the face down, which is the form, and then you have the essence. So you were wanting a reading on tarot, but now you're getting a reading on runes. And the reading that you're looking to access is one focused on your capacity for and quality of wealth. And so I guess it would be, wealth and social capacity. Okay, I see you. So the form of that is in the top row, which is really interesting, actually. Those are some interesting things to get right off the bat. Okay. So on the, I feel like I'm being drawn toward the form side of it, the face down. Because the face down represents that which manifests in our life. It's the form, the folding of reality. And so that's interesting. So before I can talk to you about the essence of the thing that you're looking for, or the thing that you brought to the surface, you're not really looking for it. You just told me what it was. I'm describing it here. So we have 3 runes. One is Rado, one is Ingus, and one is Hagalas, which is very interesting. I'll offer a brief description of each one of these runes. Here's one. Raido, Ingus, Hagalas. Okay. So, Raido means, how do I say this? It is, in my system, a rune that represents action. It is action. It is action as influence, and that influence has two faces, the male and the female, so to speak. Another way to describe them is direct and indirect. The outer reality that we experience in my system, I would call it indirect force, because everything here is a hologram, it's a hallucination. I am consciousness within the body, but I can only be in the body because the consciousness is compatible, you know what I mean? And so in action, we always have the indirect and the direct influence. If I had to directly relate the two or equivocate male and female and direct and indirect, I would say that direct energy is masculine and that indirect energy is feminine. Another way I'm being told to describe it is in terms of music. You have your tone and then you have your overtones. When a certain note or a grouping of notes is played, an additional sound is produced on top of that individual note or that cluster. It's because of the ways that the notes relate to each other. And so the indirect force is actually the most direct force for us, is what I'm saying, because it's the overtone. The tone is the essence. The different dimensions our essence is comprised of generates the overtone of our reality. We never actually experience anything, and yet we experience it all. It's very interesting. So this is about the nature of your action, the indirect and direct influences of action in your world. It's not bad or good. It's not, there's no connotation. It's a totally neutral thing. Ingus is seed or germination. Essentially, in my mind, it is the process itself of growth and development entirely. It can also stand for the lesser or greater aren't good words. Like, if your entire process, you say, this is my routine. The seed is the routine, but the seed is also made up of other seeds, which are components of that larger structure. So, for example, your routine, you do different tasks, right? Like, say you have a morning routine. Well, the routine is a seed, the morning routine is a seed, and that seed is a system of seeds. Do you see what I'm saying? Nested geometries. This rune is not only about the seeding of potential, which is action, in our behaviors, but also about the nature of creation or life and death, which is that, growing something takes a lot of specific effort. Things grow naturally, but also, if you're a gardener, for example, you help things grow. You have to put effort into the actual growth cycle, the actual action that produces growth, because you're responsible for watering, you're responsible for, checking the soil, you're responsible for checking for parasites or other, entities that could affect the plant that you're tending to in the environment in which it exists. So where the first rune was about the indirect and direct influence of your action as a whole, the seed is the embodiment of that action, the manifestation of that action. In my mind, that's the way they correlate. So right there, I kind of went from a technical description into a subjective interpretation, but I didn't really specify too clearly what was going on. Hagalaz is the next rune that wants to be read. Hagalaz is thought to be a couple of things, but since I don't like tying it so closely to what is thought to be the canonical mythology, I'm going to try to not say the word hail too many times. If Ingus is the seed, then Hagalaz is the energetic interaction that is a byproduct of the primordial shaping force of coherence. What I'm saying with that is that Hagalaz stands in for the primordial shaping force as a whole. One of the things that is in my experience talking about creation with people, I found that more often than not, people associate creation with an end product. Creation is something that occurs when something is manifested. It's not thought of as being the entire process of manifestation. And so, let's see, I'm seeing a bigger picture here. Keeping in mind that this part of the reading is a description of what was perceived by the runes to be the physical manifestation of the energy that you brought to the table in your life. I'm not getting negative things off of this. I'm getting very positive things, the feeling of you being in tune with the thing that you're experiencing. There's not a lot of dissonance is what I'm saying. There's a coherence, which brings me back to Hagalaz. In order to concentrate energy, we have to develop a magnitude. Magnitude is a system of pressure developed through repetition. Another way of thinking of this could be how do you say it? Maybe there's a different way to say it. Hagalaz is fire itself. It is the shaping quality of fire in my system. Because I see creation as a constant process that never really ends. I'm being encouraged to tell you that there is no end result. There is no goal. There's no point where you would get to where you'd be like, okay, I made it and that's it. That doesn't exist. Not with your relationships, not with your ambitions in terms of career or whatever it is that you do. It's one of those cliches of I'm being encouraged to inform you that your process will be a never-ending process. To find satisfaction in the becoming, not in the object of becoming. It's about the journey, not the end of the journey. And I think that is what's being conveyed from the runes to you about your specific circumstance. And so if we put all three of those runes together, what we get is the indirect action and its indirect qualities. as a neutral object, just an understanding. The seed of intention that is ushered through the process of creation, which takes work, and the shaping force of this behavior, of this interaction as a whole on your reality. The way in which your water takes shape burns the image into the fabric of reality. Your water, it is fire. It's the same thing. Fire is the product of water, taking shape and maintaining shape. I'm seeing a birth canal, and the thing is like, I think there's a message about relevance in here, relativity, positional relativity. In the same way that I was encouraged to talk to you about the shifting, or at least maintaining, of a perspective that supports the idea that it is the journey itself that should be sought, not the end result of the journey. I'm being encouraged to bring to the surface the idea that the actions that we take in the maintaining of perception affect us in and out of time simultaneously. We are only what we can be. And in that way, we're unlimited in our potential, but we're also limited in our potential. It is our greatest ability in understanding what I'm doing right now to tell yourself what you're experiencing. The information comes to you, but you have to also give it meaning. Sometimes things in life don't have meaning. It's not for you, in the sense that the meaning is present, but the meaning's not yours. And then there are moments when the meaning is all yours. And then there are moments where the first scenario occurs and you have the hindsight of the second scenario. And so you now have the ability to change into whatever you want to be. And not only integrate definitions, but draft them for yourself. I think this is important because it goes along with the same thought process on it's about the journey and not the destination. The destination is the journey, right? And the effect that your actions can have in indirect and direct ways. This is your amplitudinal variance speaking to you right now, okay? This is all of the forms you take, and it's not just you, as in if I'm you, I'm Jamie, and I'm just Jamie. I mean, Jamie is an extension of every bit of information that enters into their field. Everything that you interact with is an extension of yourself, because information only interacts with information because it is compatible. So everything that you have is compatible with you, whether it's good or bad, painful or suffering or joyous. And I think that's all I'm supposed to say about that. So there's your face down. And see, I don't get a lot of specific reading information. Like, I do very well with the archetype. I don't do very well with people's personal details. People will often see more of their personal details in my readings than I actually give them, because I'm using archetypal language to give them space to perceive to be in that interaction, right? Because I speak in such general terms, in other words, people are able to see themselves in what I'm saying more easily, more readily. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I just read for fun. And since we've been going pretty long, and I haven't gotten a request, I don't think, so I'm just going to give the rest of the time to Sergei. I see you asking questions too, man. I'm looking because I think I missed some of your questions. Let's see. Okay. I see that you didn't say as much as you could have, which is good because that means I can get back to you quicker. I'm just looking at the message that you sent to the chat, which says, I mean outside external influences, ? That would take more reading to go into, so I'm not going to. But if you have a specific question about that, I could probably answer it if you reword it or add to it. Hello. Wow, from Japan. That's... Okay. I'm going to read your facing up ones, okay? This is the essence. So that was your form. Your form is your ebb, okay? This is your flow. If the form is indirect force, meaning a material holographic manifestation, an apparition, then this is the code that powers the entire thing. This is the essence. These are the dimensions I is fixed in. What's interesting is you have 3 and 3. So that could be 2 groups of 3 or 3 groups of 2. And 2 is an important number for these readings because my whole system uses a color system that is described by 2 runes. A male and a female element, a direct and an indirect force, which, I flipped it. That would be male and female, which male, direct, female, indirect. I feel like they want to be ordered a certain way, so... Actually, these worked out really well. Okay. I'll bite. I'm ready. So, I split them into 2 groups of 3. The 3 is a really big deal because there are 3 parts of the body, energetically speaking, in my system. There is the mind, which is the stream of consciousness that we are. There is the body, which is the manifestation of all that came before that consciousness, and also all that becomes as a result of consciousness. And then there is the intersection between action and perception, which is to say that there's the thing that happened, there's the perception of the thing that happened, and then there's the opinion of the thing that happened. Deja vu, that can't be a real question. Do you see what you're saying? You said you got a real question, and then you asked me if Chester ever invited me to an LP concert. Yeah, of course. My dad toured with the band for all of my childhood. What? Well, not all of it, actually. A lot of it. Okay, anyways. So the 3-body conversation is very important. The groupings of 2, we discussed why that would be important, so there are color implications here. But that might be too complex of a reading for here and now. We'll see. Yeah, because I'm seeing white and violet, green and red, black and purple. Oh, okay. That's some good information to know about you, Sergei. Yeah, I would say what I said is pretty relevant, especially if you're dealing with that kind of challenge. Not just experiencing it, but, perceiving of it, resolving it within yourself. Okay, so... you don't have to be sorry, DEJA VU. I just think that those things are interesting to bring up. Okay, back to the runes. So, the paradoxical nature of the energy is that information, even though it is its own dimensional unit, singular, it is also plural in that it is the fixed position on the spectrum and the entire spectrum itself of whatever it is you're talking about. And so it's all a matter of perspective. Each body is the other, and they are not even close to the same at simultaneously. And so it doesn't matter which body each pair represents. All that matters is the understanding that the bodies exist, and that perspective is the key to unlocking it. So you can see this in any way that you want to. Let's see. So here we have the first grouping, which is Lagus. No, Sloan did not get back to me. And Isa. That's the first pair. If I had to organize this into male-female energy, I would say that they're actually organized pretty well. Yeah, I would say that. So I'd say Lagus fits into the direct masculine category, the A to B linear connection. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You don't skip. You just go 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. And then Isa, which is the indirect energy. Because Isa is I do like using this terminology. They connect Isa, the concept of Isa, with the concept of the glacier, which in my system represents the actual matrice of our manifest energies. The 3D reality that we are separated from and attached to at all times. But I'll start with the masculine here. So masculine is Lagus. Now, this is about essence. So the most basic takeaway from that is that the shape of your water is determined by your capacity to see the world around you and your place in that world. Another way to describe that system of thought is empathy. The way in which you are able to empathize or perceive is the shape that your water takes. Now keep in mind that your water is always fire as well. So your water, as it takes shape, it literally carves out space. And so it generates gravitation. And I see that we're almost at our time. Not over our time. There are about 5 minutes left. This is gonna work out, okay? So every shape you take, it has a physical, quote, physical impact on the reality around you in a way that's not just A to B to Z, right? It's not 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not, what's another one? I guess I'll use the alphabet again, A, B, C, D. It's also in all other ways you can perceive of yourself as being. So your water literally takes shape in whatever you allow yourself to see and maintain perspective on. This can be something that amplifies your presence or nullifies your presence. So be aware of the shape that your perceptions take and how they affect the stimulation of material around you. How they might be causing disruptions in and out of time and space. Anchoring you into dimensions you may not want to be. Here we have indirect or feminine form influence. Issa, like I said, is related to the glacier. Well, the interesting thing about the glacier, and I like using this one because to describe the content, because it's still like it's hard to like mess this one up. You know, the glacier is a mass of ice. It's water that has frozen. So when you hold your perception and you take shape, your water becomes earth. And then that earth shape, as more water is added to the picture, subtracted to the picture as you perceive different things throughout your life, that initial earth, that crystallization of water, it grows and expands and folds in on itself and all sorts of fun stuff. And that earth is the fire of creation. And it's the balancing of all of these, quote, elements that is embodied in the Hagalaz energy. Because really it's your ability to balance all these different aspects of self so that you can gain the magnitude necessary to utilize your actual potential field to produce reality around you that is not coherent with the reality around you, you know? Like producing apparitions, time traveling. I've done all these things. It's what it is. So yes, your water crystallizes into earth, and that crystal has a shaping effect known as fire, and that fire is the conscious sun energy, and that earth is the unconscious or subconscious, I'm still finding a better word for that, moon energy. And it's air energy that allows you to visualize potential greater or beyond the scope of your limitations. So if you're stuck in a dimensional field or a way of living, for example, your ability to see yourself outside of that environment and then realize or actualize the pathway to that reality is air energy. You use air to manipulate water, to manipulate earth, to manipulate fire. There you go. Also, something that's really interesting about the glacier as a symbol is that in reality, it is like a chunk of 3D printed mass. So they're not solid. Like glaciers aren't solid. They have many networks of tunnels, and they have an ecosystem where like these, you know, all these different animals coexist within the ice to form this reality that is unseen unless you develop the capacity to see it. And so at first, you know, this is kind of, in my study, this is the metaphor or I guess analogy that would be used the most, is that at first, before you reach a certain level of enlightenment, reality may seem static, so static it might not even respond to you. But then you reach a point where your pressures become greater, and that is represented in the field around you, that is the stream of consciousness that we call time. And so I'm being encouraged to illuminate a perspective, which is that you changed many times at different times. The things that you may have been interested in or things that you may have identified with were things that were pulled apart slowly. So some things stayed for a long time while other things slowly peeled off or spun off in different directions. And then, you know, there are things that will spin out in the future that don't have to, but are. And you have full control over that. That is your inertia. Your inertia, it changes the way you perceive because you move through life at a certain speed and you have to interact with it with a certain comprehension or intensity. And that can lead to disconnections between your essence, who you really are, and the form that you have to take. I'm getting younger you. I'm getting there are parts of you that you are, but are hidden through the procession of time, and it's hurting you in a way that is maybe unintuitive now, because maybe there's a couple of things that you wanted or a couple of things that you associate with yourself as being who you are that you did not get to embody fully. Whatever that is, good or bad, it doesn't matter. Oh, cool. Nice. Oh, I'm glad that resonated. Okay, moving on to the second set. This one will be quicker. Now that we have an established pattern of reading, which changes every single time, it's totally dependent on the person. Same with tarot. I now know how to read these, so I'm going to read the second set. So we have Fehu, and we have Burkano. Fehu is canonically thought to be wealth in its mobile form, in its indirect form, its most readily accessible. If Othala stands for immovable wealth, which is paradoxically movable, it's transmutable, despite the fact that it appears to be beyond transmutation, beyond change, right? Something happened, it's always happened. You can't undo it. That's not true. In many ways, that's not the reality. This movable wealth is... Let's go to yellow. So I said that there's two different forms of respiration. Othala, which is your blood lineage, the entirety of your perceptual makeup from the beginning of perception. That would be your direct force. And you could say that it would be your words. There's mental respiration and physical respiration, or whatever you want to call this life. Othala is that side of the coin for this physical reality. It's the roots in this dimensional experience, our ancestry. Whereas the indirect virtual force of mentality is the movable wealth. Through the movable wealth, we can actually gain access to the, quote, immovable wealth. So the fixed stuff can become unfixed. We call that neuroplasticity sometimes. We call it picking up a new hobby. We call it preference. There's a lot of different kinds of names for it. I'm being told that you have a lot of wealth that is virtual. You have to spend it. A thing cannot be until it is. You have a lot of potential that you could seed through manifestation, through embodiment, routine, even. I'm being told that you have a lot of opportunity to hold on. Okay, this will help. Okay. Yeah, so they're ordered correctly as well. Fehu would stand in for the linear masculine essence, or influence, which is essence. It is sense of self. And then Berkano would stand in as the feminine indirect force or influence, which would be a virtual influence, its form, right? So if this is a conversation about self, which it is, the wealth within self and of self, and the capacity of self to be resilient, then what I would say is that the direct force in your life, the masculine essence, is very wealthy. You know who you are. The things that you were saying that maybe you changed interest in, or the things that I was saying maybe you became dislocated from over time, those are things that are easily accessible to you. It sounds to me like it's not such a big choice. It might feel big, but really you just do it. No, it's not really thinking, because thinking involves, in this scenario, what I'm reading is that thinking here involves end product. It doesn't include the adaptability of being present in the moment, realizing that the journey is the destination. When it's the other way around and the destination becomes the journey, we lock ourselves up. We become less resilient, less adaptable, less wealthy, because we have less potential that we're interacting with. And I'm sensing that there's a very easy thing that you could do to maximize your potential in a healthy, constructive way, to seed it quickly and reap the benefits of it quickly. And it's through your sense of self-resilience. It's about realizing what you are trying to be, how you're not able to do it, and overcoming those boundaries that you either set on yourself or were set upon you, impressed upon you. Maybe you're depressed. Maybe you've been impressed upon a little too hard for a little too long. Okay, we're only 8 minutes over. That's not bad. But what that means is that your wealth is actually specifically meant to be sown into your form. That's really what this is about, because as much as Berkano is about resilience, it's also about regeneration. It's about the capacity of a system to not prevent the mind from being lost, but find its way back to sanity when it's been lost, in the spirit of living out those dreams, those desires that you have, those wishes. Wish fulfillment. Your wish fulfillment is in honing the various facets of your form, the way in which you embody what you know you are. And when you get that down, then you'll be able to start spending cash like that. If cash money equals your conscious coherence and your capacity to occupy space in conscious awareness of it. Okay, moving on. Let's see, are they ordered correctly? This all feels very decisive. It's like, it's not so much of an omen of like, whoa, something's happening. It's more of like it feels like, oh, I'm thinking about this. It's on my mind. I'm contemplating whether I want to do this or not. And I've been maybe thinking about it on and off for a while now. But whatever it is, it's almost like you're just checking the boxes. You're like, I just need to check like 3 more boxes and I'll be done. And then it's done. But right now you're in the process of discerning what it is that you're wanting and how you want to go about wanting it. Okay, I think, let's see here. I would actually say these are ordered incorrectly. This is the first pair, and the only pair I said was ordered backward. The first one, I just reordered them. So this is the correct order. The masculine linear influence is represented in Kenas, or the torch, the light bearer. And the indirect, virtual, feminine form is represented in Manas, which is kind of blurry for some reason. I don't know why that one's blurry. I don't think the other ones were. So this is all about sight and feeling. At a most basic level, there is a message of be careful. Thinking and experiencing are not the same thing. It's not a pitfall or a shortcoming. It is just an acknowledgement of the fact that perception can be blinding, and that it's important to know when to run the program and when to stop the program. It would be nice if we could all be a little bit more coherent in the chat on who we're talking about right now, because I am actually doing a real reading for someone. Asking me questions in the middle is not helpful. And yes, of course, you guys are all allowed to be chatty with each other, but also we're trying to focus for the reading. And I have to admit, I am getting a little caught up because, you know, I'll look down and I'll see there are more comments, and then sometimes I'll have to like kind of breathe for a second, like, oh, where was I? But, you know, it's not to say you can't be yourself. I'm not saying you're doing anything wrong. I'm just saying it would be nice to be able to see a little bit more unity on that front. So yes, there's a message here about discerning between the time for planning and thinking and the time for action, which is just doing. You go right in. And these are actually 2 sides of the, great, we're back at your face downs. This is actually an embodiment of the 2 sides of the energy that we were talking about that action produces, or action is produced by energy. And we used Raido to describe that. So we were saying that Raido is action itself, and it's a coin with 2 sides. On one side, it has the direct masculine influence, and that's linear. And on the other side, you have the feminine virtual influence, which is non-linear. Okay? These are these are the embodiment of those 2 energies. So Kenas is male essence in its pairing, right? So it's the direct linear side of the energetic coin when it comes to action, which means that it's the direct force. Now, Kenas specifically is a rune that is all about light, specifically light which is perceived, meaning perception itself. When we don't know something, we don't have a comprehension of it. This comprehension is derived from and through the consistency of our interactions with the thing that we are observing. And so Kanaz is actually really powerful as a symbol because it symbolizes self-illuminated material. Your thoughts are light. That is what light is meant to be in the system. Your perception is a field of light. It is dimensions you are able to perceive of. And so on this side of the coin, the essence, the masculine linear influence, would be the light of the mind, or cognitive process, cognitive coherence, thought, or projection, using air to project into other elemental mediums, which would be earth, fire, and water. So that's the quality of thinking. On the other side, we have the quality of being, represented in the feminine, indirect, virtual, nonlinear force of manas, which I would typically associate more with masculine energy than I would with feminine energy, but I love that it came out this way in the reading, because in reality, manas is a promise of the potential for human consciousness to realize its own reality, its own essence, its own self, to draw a line that says, I am this, and then become that. Manas is all potential encapsulated in one symbol. It is everything that can be reached, everything that has been reached, and everything that will be reached, everything that will never be reached. It is all things, all types of potentials embodied. And what's really pretty about manas is that it's also a promise that no matter how the perception is twisted through the formation of essence in this overtone, we always can use the light of the mind to extrapolate meaning from the experiences that we experience. But there's a difference between the two processes. One is I am, and the other is to be. I am and to be are of each other, but they are not each other. It is very possible to think yourself into a hole where you are no longer able to embody physically through behavior and speech your full potential. Whether that be in imagination land or it be in the real world, it doesn't matter. And so, in particular, what I'm seeing here is actually the ways in which the direct energy impacts the virtual energy. In this case, if we were to take all pairs and stack them on each other so that we have all the three male essence in line, we have Kenas, Fehu, Lagus, and on the other side we have the feminine influence represented in Manas, Burkano, and Isa. We can actually see a really interesting pattern come out. And it seems to me like the shape of your water has the potential to be extremely useful to you. However, there may be a thought pattern or a behavior of thought that is preventing you from stepping into the world that you belong in. There's a resilience to your form, which is seemingly immovable, stagnant even. But once you find your groove, it's going to move for you. You'll find your groove in the potential that you can realize in yourself. So that's it. It's not telling me to give you any advice. There were just a couple of, illuminations. That's it. I know this one went about 80 minutes, and it's probably going to take another 2 before we get off. But that's okay. I went through a whole rune reading with only like 30 minutes left. That's insane. That's a crazy idea. But, you know, to circle back and in conclusion for you, Sergei, the shaping force of your aura, which is the Isa of your existence, the manifest, the interconnected manifestation of your dimensional embodiments, that power is within your reach, but you have to also be careful of the inherent challenges in being the one to conceive, gestate, and usher into existence that reality, because it is an undertaking. You have to go. If you're going to go, you have to go. There's no second guessing. This is that cliche of, you know, make sure your heart is strong. You know what you really want for yourself. I would suggest, if there's anything to suggest, which there probably isn't, if you are undecided about some of these things, write it out in a list. And be honest with yourself, even if you never show anybody else. In fact, you should show it to nobody else if it means that you're honest with yourself. Deja vu, stop asking crazy questions. I'm not going to answer you. I already said it. I said I'm literally talking to Sergei right now. I don't want to talk to you about random ass questions. Stop asking random ass questions. You're just spamming the chat. People have asked you to stop. Knock it off. No, I'm not going to talk about the fucking doggy door while I'm talking about Sergei. If you can't get that, just stop texting. You can hang out. Just stop putting things in the chat. Yeah, you said my bad before. Let's see if you really feel that way or if you understand it that way. I don't mean to be a dick about it, but I mean, come on. We've been on here for 82 minutes. Come on now. It's literally a group activity. So why aren't you grouping? Okay, I'm going to look at these real quick because I saw people were talking. I watched most of it, so I'm pretty sure there's nothing new, but... yeah, I read everything up to there. Yes, I have ingested mushrooms before. They've been good friends. My body doesn't like them so much. Sometimes they get a little my body gets overwhelmed, but I'm glad that you guys are listening to what I'm saying. Dude, even two premas, I don't know how to say that. Even top Ramies. Even that guy got it, bro. Even that guy was like, hey, you know, they are saying these things and we are in this space for a reason. Maybe we shouldn't do that, you know? Thank you. Like, yeah. It's not don't do it, just do it less. A little less. And you guys are more than welcome to talk to each other this entire time. Okay. I don't see anything in there for me to interact with specifically, so I am going to call it. This is actually about the time that I thought I would stop, so I don't know what kind of math I was doing, but it all worked out. I was doing divine math. I see. Yeah, that's got to be an interesting time, Sergei. Yeah, I got all positive stuff. I wasn't getting any, like, warn them about this. There were a couple times where, you know, like maybe the intensity changed a little bit, but that's just the ebb and flow of the energy, you know. And like I said, I could go deeper into this. Like you asked, we did a really very broad reading, and essentially all I did was just ask you to offer up pieces of yourself so that I could interpret it, and that was my interpretation of it. So it's like all that is just wisdom for you. Just a little bit of self-help, I guess. You know, it's like, here's a couple of ideas to put in your head for food for thought kind of stuff. And hopefully that was enlightening in a constructive way, you know, that helps you do whatever you're doing. And, you know, if we're on another live and you want another reading, or anybody else wants a reading, you know, I can piece these out for sure, but we'll have to be wary of the time. Thank you for letting me read you. That was awesome. I haven't done runes on live before. And last time I hadn't done tarot, so, you know, I'm going through a lot of firsts right now, but yeah, okay. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining me around the proverbial campfire. It means so much to me that you've taken the time out of your day to be present with me. One last good breath, one for the road. Oh, my nose itched right when I said that. Perfect. See you later. Hey, I did it again. I did it on purpose this time. All right. See y'all guys. See y'all guys later. That was a little Chester for you.